I mean, come on.
Whipping up a storm. I need a moment to prepare.
Lamau.
Wait. No mana. For a smart fella, you're a right fool.
Let's see you survive this.
This doesn't stay in the game like this. It can't. They're not gonna let me keep it. They won't let me have it. They're gonna see this and then they're gonna be like, no, you can't have it. Yeah, this build's getting nerfed like 100%. You saw the intro. This is stupid. I hope it's not getting nerfed, but at the same time, it seems almost too good. Like the amount of damage that this is dealing. So in today's video, I'm going to be going over this build, just showing you how all the pieces work together, how we're generating frenzy charges and stuff. And the first thing is this whirling slash. So we can use this skill. You perform a circular slash and it makes a whirlwind, and you can repeatedly cast it to create higher stages. So if you do it once, it makes one stage. You do it again, it makes a bigger stage and the third stage. Then this interacts with this other skill we use called Twister. So if you use a Twister while inside a whirling slash, it shoots out additional projectiles. So like it says here, the Twister moves forward. It consumes the whirlwind to create additional twisters that deal more damage. And also, passing over elemental ground surfaces or consuming elemental whirlwind will grant twisters extra damage of that element. So how do we create elemental ground? The easiest way is with Frostbolt. So if we use Frostbolt, this leaves behind a trail of ground, of the chilled ground. And then if we do the whirlwind over it, we now have this icy whirlwind. And then if we shoot twisters out, well, now we get this, chilled twisters. It gets more crazy though, because we can combine that with barrage. So barrage says, ready a volley of arrows or spears, empowering your next bow or projectile spear attack to repeat multiple times, consumes your frenzy charges on use to add additional repeats. Repeats deal 50% less damage, 470% of repeated skills, whatever, blah, blah, blah. This just makes it so we shoot out even more. So you can put down your chilled ground, then you can make a nice little whirlwind thing, and then you can push barrage, and then you shoot out this, and suddenly you have 5 bajillion of these tornadoes on the screen. So we're not actually using multi-shot or scatter shot to get the additional projectiles. Additional projectiles are coming from the whirlwind and the whirling slash combo. And then salvo, we are using this support. This is a tier 3 support. So before we get this, we're using persistence and acceleration or retreat. But salvo, sports attack skills you use yourself, which fire projectiles. Supported skills accumulate seals over time and consume them when used. For each seal consumed, the attack will fire additional projectiles. So projectiles from supported skills are fired in random directions. So this builds up seals. We shoot out our frost thing. We whip up some nice storms, and then we blast out like that. And again, if for normal clear, you don't need to use barrage. But when you get to a boss, hit barrage, spit it out, 5 bajillion projectiles, and they all bounce around. So that is the build concept. We can also use explosive spear. If you have a frenzy charger and using explosive spear, it'll leave behind burning ground, which will then get picked up by your whirling slash or your tornadoes, your twisters. So the other skills we are using, Thunderous Leap, super nice mobility skill. You can actually just use this like a leap slam. We've got Wind Dancer just for more evasion rating, and then Combat Frenzy. So when we freeze an enemy once every 4.7 seconds, we generate a frenzy charge. We can link that with Profusion to have a chance to get an additional charge. And then we've got Barrage. I'm not 1,000,000% sure if all of these links are perfect. I'll keep testing them. Premeditation definitely is a good one to use for the 15% more damage. Persistence for our twisters, so our twisters last longer. Retreat, this is one of the new things. Supported skills deal 25% more projectile damage if you have damaged an enemy with a melee hit in the last 8 seconds. Whirling Slash is a melee hit. So this works really well, 25% more damage. Acceleration, so that our projectiles move faster and bounce around more quickly. These can only hit the same target once every 0.66 seconds, which I suspect is going to be, if they do nerf this, they're probably going to change it so that it can only hit the same target once or once every like 3 seconds or something like that. And then another important thing we are using is this companion, which the gem is actually called Tame Beast. So you can capture a beast. Beast is a type of monster. You have like undead humanoid beasts. And then you can get like a specter, and the specter will have it'll retain some of the modifiers. So some of the really good ones would be things like Haste Aura. Haste Aura would be really good. I currently have one with like a physical damage aura. There's also one that recovers life. There's one that I think probably one of the better ones would be leaves a trail of lightning ground or burning ground, so that you don't necessarily have to set up with Frostbolt to get the ground effect before you do the whirling thing. But Companion's super important. As for our gear, it's all up on Mobilytics, and you can see everything that I'm using, but most of the gear is pretty straightforward. A lot of evasion rating gear, and then our weapon is just going for like physical damage or elemental damage on a spear. And then gloves with attack speed, resistance, life. Same with belts, boots, movement speed, body armor, life, spirit. Try and get spirit. We're going to need a fair amount of spirit for these companions. But yeah, just stats, resistance, spirit, that sort of thing. And then having a look at the tree. So we're going with Amazon. To start out, I'm going with Predatory Instinct for reveal weakness. This gives us 50% more damage against enemies with an open weakness. You can see this on their bar. That's why there's those weird lines, those weird red lines in the boss's health bar. So we're dealing 50% more damage when they're in that open weakness. And then also in for the kill, just increase movement speed and skill speed when the enemy has that open weakness. Later on, I'll probably move into Critical Strike and Penetrate and Stalking Panther. And then, I don't know, maybe I'll keep one of these, but I'll see. I just made it to maps, by the way. As for the passive tree, again, you can just check it out on Mobilytics. So we're coming down here. One of the things you might need to do early when you're leveling this is to grab attributes like this and allocate strength or intelligence for the Frostbolt. This has a int requirement of 16. So you're gonna have to find some intelligence either on an amulet or various pieces of gear. You're probably gonna need a little bit of strength. I think what I did was, because I was uncertain about what I wanted, I rushed down here, grabbed Maiming Strike, and then I grabbed all of these nice spear things over here. And then I think I went up this way to this animal companion stuff. So this animal companion stuff, increase and reductions to companion damage also apply to you. So each of these, companions deal 12% increased damage, 8% increased damage while in the presence of your companion. If you're in the presence of your companion, 20% increased damage for each of these, each of them. And then there's another one. And then at the end, we have 20% reduced reservation, more reduced reservation, life recovery from your flask applies to your companions. And there's some defensive stuff over here. And then there's some more companion stuff over here, another like 20% per point, assuming that it is in your vicinity. Then I'm just popping up this way, bit of evasion rating over here, dexterity, Falcon technique for increased dex increased attack speed per dex, and here I'm getting some attack speed per accuracy rating. And then over here, Dance with Death, 25% more skill speed while offhand is empty and you have a one-handed martial weapon equipped in your main hand. That's why I'm not using a shield. We're getting 25% more skill speed with this. So Dance with Death, super good early on. Later we might need to pop in a shield and drop that, but for now, really just so strong. Dance with Death. I think it's probably worth just to like rush down here, grab that, grab this. There's also over here Catalysis for increased elements damage attacks and Fizz taken as random element. And now I'm heading over to the Frenzy thing. I don't know if I should go for this or maybe I should go for some of the other Frenzy stuff, like maybe this. But yeah, I'm level 62, just made it to maps. Absolutely loving this build. So if you are struggling, looking for a good build, check this out. Hopefully by the time I wake up, it is not nerfed, but I will be live playing this build. I hope you can join me. And yeah, be sure to join the Discord, follow me on Twitch. I have a Patreon, all of that stuff. I need to sleep. It's so late. I'm so tired. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Stay safe or sleep tight. Bye-bye.